Today we've got the 2023 Chevrolet Blazer RS. Now, as you can see, this vehicle looks very aggressive. It's got the Camaro-esque design in front end, but just a little beefier because it is an SUV. It comes with a 3.6 liter V6 with a 9-speed variable valve transmission. I'm actually getting eaten by bugs doing this here, but it's actually worth it. Now, what attracts all the bugs, I think, is the radiant red two-tone color paint job on this vehicle. So two-tone meaning there's a black top to it, and the radiant red definitely pops. I'm not sure the camera does it justice, but it definitely pops when you see it. Now mix that with the black grille fascia here and the RS badging. I definitely like the look of this vehicle. It offers you 308 horsepower and 270 pounds-feet of torque. It also comes with LED lights, from the fog lights to the main lights there. It's all LED. If we come over to the side here, we'll see that what's holding this up is a pair of 21-inch wheels. Now, 21-inch wheels will affect your ride comfort as well as your fuel efficiency. Speaking of fuel efficiency, this vehicle gets 12.6 liters in the city, 9.2 liters per 100 kilometers on the highway, which gives it 11 liters per 100 kilometers combined. Now, for my American friends, we're looking at 19 miles per gallon in the city, 26 miles per gallon in the highway, and 21 miles per gallon combined. A few key highlights we're going to point out here is obviously the beauty. The rims, they look amazing, all blacked out. Blazer badge, black Blazer badge, keyless entry. The rims are the same size for the rear tires as well. LED lights in the rear, RS badging, and our blacked out bow tie for the RS trim. This Blazer is all-wheel drive, so that does affect, again, your fuel efficiency when you're considering it. But it is a SUV, not a crossover. This has a lot of space in, and Brian's going to go over that over the inside. But the look of the back look exterior with the black looks amazing. Has an aggressive look. Like I said, Camaro-esque vehicle, but SUV size. And now Brian's going to take you on the inside. Take a look what's there.
All right, so here we are inside the Chevy Blazer RS. Overall, so I'll say this. First impressions, when we went to pick up the car, we hopped in it, we had a look around. I agree with Pat, this car pops. Like it's got a really nice look to it. So the interior we're talking about here, it's a mix of leather. The seats are perforated leather with the climate control built in, so hot or cold. You got some fine, the finishing here, the finishing touches with the fine stitching and everything. The panels over here, side door, part of the dash, plastic, molded plastics. There is some leather finish here up on the front of the dash as well, and around the screen and everything. Same thing with the your shifter in the center here, combination of leather and plastics. I mean, overall, I think this vehicle, it's got a really good look to it. I mean, we were talking about this. I've seen photos and whatnot. We kind of looked up some of the information about this car before we went and picked it up, and one of the first things I said is, like, this thing looks way better in person than it does anywhere else I've seen it, either on the road or, you know, driving past or whatnot. So pretty impressed with that. Overall, I mean, there's lots of space up front. I've got tons of headroom. I am 5'11", plus a couple inches of hair there. So especially with the panoramic roof open, tons of room up here. It's comfortable. Lots of arm room, lots of space. The steering wheel, telescopic adjusting. The seat itself has the 8-way system. It's all electronic there, so everything, including your lumbar support, electronic. And it also has, I don't know if you can see them from the back there, but it has 2 presets. So preset positions, driver 1, driver 2 gets in, you push the button, it'll automatically adjust to your height and comfort and everything else. So another handy feature. One thing I will mention about the seats, they're fairly firm, I guess you'd say, rigid. I was expecting maybe a little more of a give to it. So maybe longer drives, I don't know, you might notice a little discomfort. Obviously, we're going to play with it a little more throughout the week, but just the first impression we've noticed, I thought there'd be a little softer, but is what it is, right? Okay, so entertainment system, the goodies. All right, so up front here we have a 10.2-inch display screen, full touchscreen. This comes obviously with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. This is wireless, so once your phone's set up and everything, your Bluetooth is connected. You won't need a plugged connection or a wired connection for anything, including maps, whatever, what have you. Down below, you'll see here's your climate control station here. I'm loving these vents, honestly. I think they look great. And cool little feature here, your temperature controls built right into the actual vent itself, just outside here. So you just spin it, open and close, just little flaps in there. And then as you can see, just turn that off for a second, it does have the dual climate control. So if I'm playing with my temperature on one side, the other one's staying put. So also another great feature. So sound system, I love it. I've been blasting music pretty much since I got into this thing. It's an 8-speaker sound system. It's a Bose sound system. So, I mean, what more do you need to say about that? You know, it's decent quality right there. Some more of the interior features here. Here's one that I've never actually driven a car with this, and this is pretty neat. So at first I thought it was a little distracting, but I got used to it pretty quick. So obviously it's got the automatic adjusting mirror there for if somebody's behind you with high beams. What you also have is this car has a full HD surround view. This is the reverse camera. So you can have this on while you're driving all the time, and it'll actually act as your mirror. The thing I found a little distracting with it is just I'm not used to having a screen up here. I'm just used to having a mirror. So when there's cars going the other way or whatnot, you can see them kind of like it's a really, I'm surprised at the quality of the image on this up here. So yeah, no, I thought that was a pretty cool feature. And then, so let's pop it into reverse here. Same thing. So this is your full HD cameras. Again, really good picture quality on the screen itself. You've got your guidelines that will turn with the vehicle as you're driving, reversing, and you get your front guides as well. And then you can switch your camera angles. So we've got your sides here. If you're trying to connect a trailer hitch, boom, you got a camera looking straight down. So you can back up slowly, check your distances, check your angles and everything. It's pretty handy. So, and then here in the center console, we've got 2 more USB ports, USB-A, USB-C. We've got a 12-volt and then a SD slot for memory cards. This one comes with a preloaded GPS. So that's it's got its map package in there right now. All right, so that pretty much covers the front. So let's hop on the back and have a look around. All right, so here we're in the back. So again, center console, 2 USBs. Your 12-volt plug here. This is an actual plug, not the car adapter type. And then some climate control for the rear passengers. Seats in the back, very similar to the bucket seats in the front. Still fairly comfortable. As we can see here, so as I mentioned, I'm 5'11". I've got lots of leg room here. There is adjustments for the... It's not moving. There we go. You can't adjust the rear seats, so there's a recline for the rear seats, and then obviously they fold down, so you can open it up for more cargo space. As far as headroom, I mean, again, it's not bad. I can feel the tip of my hair touching up there, but I'm cheating a little bit. So overall, decent amount of space back here, and you probably see it better on that door over there. Heated seats for the rear passengers. Congratulations, family. You've made it to 2023. We've arrived. All right, so trunk space. This thing's got 64 cubic feet in the back, which is a fair amount of space, honestly, for an SUV. It's got remote rear hatch opening and closing. And right down here on the door, electric opener. One touch. She's open. Same thing. Close. So open and close from the rear. And then of course it's also got the remote open. Just give this a second. So pretty handy if you're juggling kids and a sick cat and a $75 bag of milk and you're trying to get everything into the car all at once. Keyless entry there. So in the rear, as you can see, 64 feet cargo space. It's a fair amount, especially if you push the seats down. Nice flat level surface here. Spare equipment underneath. Not quite a full size, but it'll get you to where you need to be. So yeah, I mean, tons of cargo space. And then as you can see, once it's actually flat, it's pretty well level. Of course, there's always gonna be a little bit of a gap here, but it's not much. So yeah, honestly, I really like these fold down seats. Just, again, easy as pie. And that's your cargo space.
So this concludes our walk around part of it. The next part is we're gonna do some driving of it, to give you guys some footage of us taking curves and putting the pedal to the metal. And then we're gonna hop inside. What we're gonna do inside?
Get away from these freaking bugs, man.
Yeah, we're gonna get away from these bugs because we're getting eaten alive.
I think I'll have to find a blood so far, but
yeah, the
hey,
radiant
man.
red is definitely not a bug-friendly color. It's very blood-like. So we're gonna hop inside. We're gonna talk about this and talk if this car is worth the money. So stay tuned. We're gonna talk about the price. We're gonna talk about everything else that we've experienced during our week of having this car. So we just concluded a week of driving with the 2023 Chevrolet Blazer RS, really sporty, and we're gonna give you guys our opinion at this point on what's that. So we just did the walk around. That was at the beginning of the week, and now it's time for the outsider perspective of it. First, Brian, we're gonna talk about the driving. What strikes to you about the driving of this vehicle? First thing that comes to mind.
So, first thing you notice, I mean, I'm sure you notice this too, is as soon as we hit the highway, a little bit of gas, this thing goes, right? Like it does not hesitate. That I didn't feel. I think once this week I felt a little bit of a kick during a shift, and that was at really low speeds. And I'm not even sure that I may have been rolling just so slowly that, or anyway. But that one time only, like this thing drives very smoothly as far as like shifting and everything. Gas, power, I mean a 3.6 liter engine, yeah, it should have a little bit of giddy up to it, and it does, so.
Yeah, that's exactly the same thing. I'm on par with that. It's a 3.6 liter engine, like we've mentioned. Definitely enough horsepower with 308 horsepower and 270 pounds-feet of torque. And you feel that when you're driving. You feel that V6. I know a lot of manufacturers are going to those smaller engines, preserving fuel, preserving fuel economy, just making it a bit better. And you could tell this was GM's intent. Let's make it's still like a nice, powerful SUV, and I believe that was a success. They did just that. Handling, taking curves, I actually had no problem doing so.
Yeah, I mean it handles pretty nicely. One thing I will say at low speeds, I noticed the turn radius. I thought it'd be a little bit tighter. This isn't a crazy long vehicle, but I mean it's not horrible by any means.
It's an SUV, yeah. And it drives a little bit bigger than you would on a crossover because it is bigger. There's more space in this vehicle.
Absolutely. And
we're going to talk about the space since we're segueing into the space concept of it. There's plenty of room in the trunk. We talked about it was 64 cubic feet of cargo space in this vehicle in the trunk, and with the seats down, everything lays flat. Definitely spacious. Lots of room in the front. Brian demonstrated lots of room in the back. Lots of leg room. Can stretch it out. So this does feels like an SUV. It doesn't have that third row, but it still makes it feel like you're driving an SUV when you're loading it up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the trade-off with having or not having a third row is one, cargo space, but then it also gives that second row a lot more room, a lot more leg room, and so it's definitely improving the comfort, I think, in the back seats as far as leg room, headroom, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I mean, if you have 8 kids, yeah, you're probably gonna want a third row, but
I mean, I have 1 kid, and then I have 2 big fur babies. I got 2 dogs, and you know they fit just fine in the trunk, and the kid and the child seat in the booster seat. He's got still plenty of room without changing the seats in the front. Lots of room for them, for the whole family. I think this is a good family car. Again, not if you have those 5 kids that you're talking about, but it's definitely a good family car, and it can be comfortable on road trips. Maybe once the seats are broken in.
yeah. So that was one thing I did want to mention. One thing I would consider, like, so where we live right now, my wife, she's from out of town here. It's about a 6-hour drive to go visit her side of the family. So we had mentioned it both a little earlier. I'm finding as the week went through, I found the seats a little more comfortable, but honestly, I think, you know, an hour or 2 commuting to work, running out, doing what you have to do during the week is one thing. I think a 5-6 hour road trip on these seats, I might find a little uncomfortable after that amount of time. So, and again, it could just be like maybe the seats just need to be broken in a little more, maybe, I don't know. But it's just one thing we noticed. Again, we've only had the vehicle for a week, so.
Yeah, and we did take a road trip because we drove it down from Montreal and all the way up to Quebec City and such, and that got us to see a little bit what the fuel economy was on this vehicle. Now, as stated before, the advertised fuel economy is between 12.6 in the city and 9.2 on the highway, combined for 11 liters. For our American friends here, we got city 19 miles per gallon, highway 26 miles per gallon, and a combined 21 miles per gallon. Do you feel that's roughly what you got for your part of the week driving it around?
I mean, so it's obviously bigger engine, bigger vehicle is going to chew up a little more gas, but we've had the meter running the whole time here. Hang on, I was just scrolling through my menus. Let me get back information. There we go. So what we're at right now for the week. We have averaged our trip so far 456 kilometers, and we're at 11.2 liters per 100 kilometers.
So that's what it gives you, 11 liters per 100 kilometers combined.
Yeah.
And that's what we found like we got for the most part. I live a little bit more in the country, so we're talking about speeds between 60 and 80 kilometers an hour. You can get a little bit better, more towards the 9.2 liters at that point. I did get 8.9 if you are driving conservatively, but they're pretty right in their estimates at this point. So
Yeah, I think so.
I got no issues with that.
I think another thing that's going to save you there too is the fact that this has got the 2 extra valves there. It is a V6, but at certain speeds, it depends on your driving style, obviously. But the automatic switch between the
VVT
4-cylinder.
there, the variable valve transmission.
Exactly. So I mean, if you're driving conservatively, you're probably going to get better fuel economy, because even at highway speeds, I notice sometimes, especially if you're letting off the gas, you're kind of on a flat plane and you're just kind of cruising, it'll kick down into the 4-cylinder mode. So
yeah, and to be honest, we weren't economic at all with the use of this vehicle. We did a lot of being parked like this, having the AC going. We did some city driving. We did some acceleration testing and so on. So this number being pretty much what they announced for the combined is actually quite impressive, because when we test vehicles, we want to test what the acceleration is. We want to test what the curve is. So we're not driving them conservatively. Well, we're not beating them up. GM, if you're listening, we're not doing that to your cars. but we are putting them through the tests that we want to get the feedback to provide you guys. Which brings us to the price point. Now, the price for this particular model is $58,900. That's Canadian, right?
yeah,
Comes up at base model. You can start at 40 grand, 40,500, and then you got loads of options, and you can easily find your way up to $60,000.
So this model, this vehicle specifically that we got, has $6,000 worth of extras on it. So things like the 2-tone paint job, the alloy rims, the rear heated seats. There's a few, there's quite a few extras on here. So obviously, if you're looking for a little bit of wiggle room in price, these are things that,
if you just want a large SUV and you're not planning on having people in the back seat very often, you can save a few $100 probably there. And I mean, there's things you can look at, right? So there's a little bit of wiggle room without the options, and prior to a lot of the fees and whatnot. The RS version starts at about 50,000 Canadian. So between 50 and 60 grand plus taxes, et cetera, et cetera. You got a little bit of room to play with there with the options.
Yeah, and it is a, you know, when you look at it, when you look at the RS, you know it's not a base model. Like that is obvious, especially we have the radiant red paint on it. So I think that costs about 500.
Well, they charge for each color of the paint there, so the total was over $1,200. It was
for the two-tone, because we have black,
the black roof, and then the radiant red.
And a lot of these that you can go without if you choose so. But buying a car is emotional. It's something that you gotta love. You gotta look in your driveway and you gotta look, you know what, I love this car. I love driving this car. Not you step out your front door, and you look at your car and you're like, I gotta go be seen out driving this car. And you know what, this car for me personally, I love this car. I really enjoy it. I enjoy how it drives. I enjoy how it looks. It's got the aggressive Camaro-like front fascia, and you know, I would consider maybe going away with some options. We know I'm not a big wheel kind of guy. I like big tires, but not exactly big wheels. So the larger rim sacrifice comfort and stuff like that. So you can go and customize when you're building your own Blazer and finding out what you really like.
So I was going to mention the rims. That's one thing about, as far as comfort, this thing has 21-inch rims on it, which is also an extra. I think that was, what, $1,200?
Yes.
You're going to feel the difference. I mean, especially in Quebec. I mean, we've talked about this before on this channel. It is what it is, right? Potholes are a thing. So that's something to consider as well. But overall, yeah, I mean, I do enjoy this vehicle. I do have my minor criticism about the seat. And then one other thing I had mentioned earlier off camera today is that I found, as the week went on, I really love the design of the interior. I love the look. I like the two-tone colors, the red stitching really pops, I find. I just found the day-to-day kind of storage space, like you got a spot for your cell phone, but then, I don't know about you, but when I hop in my car and I'm running around for the day, I just kind of stick stuff everywhere. And for a week, I mean, it wasn't bad, but I feel like over time, this is a personal preference of mine. It's just something that I would consider, and it might kind of get annoying that just not having as many pockets, and
it does not pass the big gulp cup holder test. A big gulp would not fit in it. Actually, I have just a regular BioSteel water bottle that won't fit in the cup holders. So GM, you could have the adaptable cup holders that get bigger and smaller. That would be one note of mine. We're gonna go through the pros and cons now, basically, like what we like and what we don't like about the vehicle. So the dislikes would be cup holders. Storage areas are a little bit limited for...
Again, that's specific for like the little cubbies in the front seat there. Yeah. That's the rear compartment. I could fit half the stuff I own, I think, in there.
And maybe the price, a lot of it on aesthetically pleasing items, which me as a logical thinker, I'm thinking no, but again, that's a con for me, might not be a con for you. Overall, we really like this vehicle.
So yeah, I mean, let us know what you thought of this. Give us your thoughts on the look. If any of you have tried test drove these cars, or I've actually gone out and purchased one, let us know what you think of it, especially over the medium and long term. I am curious about the seats, so let me know if they do get better.
Write it down on the comments. Please comment on this video. Like the video if you liked it. If you didn't like it, just press the like button and move on. Subscribe to the channel as well, as we have more vehicles coming down the line. So
absolutely,
stay tuned.
Thanks again for watching, and we'll catch you next time. All right, so here we are inside the Blazer.
Red is definitely not a bug-friendly color.
Get away from these freaking bugs, man.
Yeah, we're gonna get away from these bugs because we're getting eaten alive.
I think